my superpower when it comes to work is I know how to get stuff done. And I don't take excuses. I get stuff done. Until we can figure out how to onboard people to our projects because they love the project, not because it's Web3, that's when mass adoption will happen. If the IP could be globally known, a household name, that is where I love to see it be.
Well, thank you for joining me, Mike. I appreciate it. You're the creator of Novopangea, and one of our business partners, Victor Lopez, has been working with you. He put us together, and he was like, you guys should talk, and I've taken a look at your game. It seems like you guys have been building for almost as long as we have, if not longer. It seems like you've been in the wax gaming space for a while, creating a blockchain game. So let's chat about that. Let's chat about you. I want to know what inspired you to be here. But first, why don't you tell us a little bit about Novopangea?
Yeah, so Novopangea kind of started with a whole bunch of guys together who worked together professionally in the past, and we all had our own background and desires to come together to really produce a whole world of through storytelling, through technology, through beautiful creative and design. And then the world of Novopangea was born. So we have beautiful artwork. We have, in the story basis, has 6 different realms. And each realm has their own characteristics, has their own art, everything. And then what we have started with on Wax was a game, playing a game. But, it's very strategic. It's an economy-based style game right now where users can actually, claim their land. They can put buildings on it. They work with each other in the community, in the district to, put workers in those buildings to actually earn in-game resources that then they can convert to Obsidian to pay other people's wages and pay for rent. And then in the future releases, we'll be doing the PvP and other stuff where you will need to earn Obsidian to pay for armor and pay for stuff. So it's really a community-based project. You can't play it by yourself. You're gonna have to play it with a group. If you want to be successful, you better pick a good, strong alliance and just keep on building and developing and making good connections and being trustworthy to each other. Because if you're not, then the group might turn on you. So one of the big things we say about Novopangea is it a world of love and peace, or is it war? So, the community is really going to be able to decide what it is.
Interesting. So it sounds like the goal is to give players agency, and also sounds like, like a massively multiplayer strategy game.
Correct. I'm glad you're able to decipher that from my explanation. I appreciate it.
Yeah. I mean, just looking at it, looks like a strategy game. I can tell that it seems like there's strategy elements to the way it presents itself. And I'm curious, like, what stage are you guys in? Do you consider yourselves like in a launch status, like an alpha status, beta status?
I still think we're in beta. I think we're past alpha. I don't want to say it's fully refined, but we finished what we consider our economy when we launched the token on Tuesday, which will be today when you post this. And that took us a while. That took us about close to a year to build. But there's a lot of features in the economy, the economy style game, and a lot of features. Our timelines got pushed back because our community asked for different things, different features, and there were great ideas, so we incorporated what their feedback was. So I would say we're still in beta. It's really hard in this Web3 space, when you're self-funded, to really put together something that is polished to launch, right? You're really going to have to, you take baby steps. And one thing I appreciate about this community in the Web3 space is the majority of people understand that and they support it. And I think they enjoy being part of that process because they have say, they understand the vision, they can really be part of it, which is something I really appreciate about the Web3 space that, I don't feel is there outside of this space.
But yeah, I mean, I feel you on, these early days, and there are a lot of users who come and defend us a lot in our chat because we're in this period as well where we're, basically trying to polish things that we've already released.
Yes.
And all the players are like, why aren't you doing anything new? Like, where's the new drops? Like, where's the new, new events and features? And there are people who come in and they, they're gracious and they understand. And so I find it interesting that you're acknowledging that the patience that some of them have 'Cause I feel like I'm frequently dealing with the impatient ones. So tell us about your experience with, the feedback that the players are having with your game. Are they, do you feel like you're building the right game for the right audience? Are they receptive to it? How does it seem like it's panning out to you right now?
So at the beginning, it's like I think it's like day and night different from when we launched in June. When in June, that's when a lot of the rug pulls were happening. So the community was more vocal. A lot of people really, was skeptic about any single project, and their time as well as any investment they put into it. A lot of those people who were negative then are now our brand, superstars. They support us, they defend us, they understand that, we earn their trust, we listen to them. The biggest thing was to, like you said, polish things that's already released or add new features. So, and that's kind of my job to determine that. And it's really asking our users what they want, and there's some features that we have to polish, that they really ask for: performance stuff, bulk actions, quality of life stuff. So we really prioritize what the community wants. We have a whole section on Discord for game suggestions and bugs, 2 different sections. And then, I study that every single day. And then we start voting on which quality of life things people want to work on next, which is very important. They'll have a say. I share my wireframes with them to get their feedback, so they know it's coming, and they are really part of this process. With that said, a lot of quality of life and features that they love, we haven't got to yet because it's not as a biggest priority of, say, like launching residential buildings or tokens, because that's what brings in revenue for the project to help us continue. And they understand that. They definitely understand that. They're patient, between the two. I think it's just being honest, transparent. They just want to make sure that, we're not going to be going tomorrow, that, we're listening to them, and we are actually taking in, their feedback, because we are, we're building the game. I always say we're building the game together because we are. So I think it's pretty simple. As long as you're really honest and transparent, and you keep, it's just like working in corporate America when you're doing projects. You just got to keep all the stakeholders, up to date with what's going on in information, so there's no ambiguity. And that's where a lot of places in corporate America and Web3, I think, fails, is, there's too much ambiguity. So you just got to be crystal clear and honest. And I think they're receptive to that.
Yeah, those are great points. I feel like I could talk about that for a while, but I also want to talk about the token release that you guys are doing. So tell us the details of that, because everybody does different things when it comes to the releases. So could you describe to me in detail what your token release is?
Yeah, so our token's called Novo, and it's it's all in-game utility. You can just figure out what the day we launch, you're gonna be able to use it to get exchange it for resources in the game, which will help you level up your NFT assets. It would help you also like pay wages and whatever you need to do with the resources, so you can get that with the Novo. Also, what people are excited about is you can stake it to the town hall. And this is where the community aspect is important, because it is about 5,000 Novo to stake to your town hall to bring it to level 2. Some people said that was low, some people said it was high, but we thought it was a good spot where people have to do it together. No one's going to put in 5,000 alone unless you're a whale. But even them, they're working with other people, so we have 5 people work together to stake that. And that's what we wanted. We didn't want to make it super easy for one person just to dominate. We want people to work together. So after you level up your town hall, you're going to be able to unlock different features in the game, like the ability to upgrade your skilled workers and your buildings to level 4, which is everybody loves to do it. It's addicting, leveling up your buildings. I do it too. But as you level up your buildings, the buildings will either increase lower wait times, or maybe it increases the capacity. Instead of having 4, it could have 5 skilled workers. There's so much benefits, to leveling up, which is fun. So outside of that, I'm a big Clash of Clans fan. I play that, probably for over a decade, but honestly, I haven't played it in like a year now because of Novo. And but stuff like when you upgrade your NFTs is always like, it takes X amount of time. You can use a Novo to do it instantly for the impatient people. which is I am one of those people in Clash of Clans. And you can also get more in-game assets for like skilled workers and residential buildings, even packs of our Novopangea cards with Novo. So right off the bat, there'll be a lot of utility. Around the launch, it's going to be Tuesday. It's going to be on Alcor listed. So there'll be, you'll be able to buy it and sell. That's where you get it on the exchange. But like I said, only thing you can do with it is use it in game. And that's how it's been designed. It's going to stay that way. But one thing we did do, looking back at it, just old transparency is, we tend to do things a little bit different. And most of the times it bites us in the butt because, we're trying to change people's thinking and behavior and that's not always the best thing. But like we offered a private sale for the Novo tokens at a reduced cost earlier this week. We had some bites, not too many, but then there's lockup period for 6 months. And then right now we have a public sale going on for lockup period for 4 months. But they can't use that for that time. And, from the feedback from the community is they want to get the Novo now so they can use it for staking in town home for all the cool features. So that was a big learning we had about it. We try to always do things a little bit different because we love that test and learn culture. And so it was just a experiment. We tested, we're learning, we learned a lesson, and just keep moving forward.
All right, well, it sounds like your play base has been really receptive to the token and the ways that you guys are planning to have it interact with the game.
Yes, they are. And, we have more suggestions that we're going to be doing too as we look at our roadmap. And those are the things that we have to look upon. Like there's the new everybody's asking for the PvP, they're asking for leaderboards, even like an affiliate program, as well as some other stuff. There's so many things that they're asking for. We have a very healthy backlog of big features. But on top of every feature we got to think about is, from a business point of view, can we, release new NFTs for this feature? Because the new NFTs is really what drives our revenue. The token really doesn't as much as NFTs because the token's really just, for the community to play with and grow. But we also have to keep an eye on the token and make sure there's plenty of healthy fun drains. The keyword's fun drains for it. You want people to enjoy using it in the game. So we have a lot of great ideas around cosmetic stuff and stuff when it comes to PvP and other things. Like I mentioned before, we have great art. Our community loves our art. That's how a lot of people find out about us. So we, leveraging, the Novo token, we can even make that art even better, maybe bring it more to life with more animations on the map and stuff like that. So there's a lot of great ideas that the community has given us, and same as team members internally. That again, we'll work together, prioritize it, and we'll vote. We'll just have to vote on what features we're going to work on next.
Great. It seems like you guys have put a lot of thought into this. You said for the last year or so?
Yeah, we did. Honestly, since concept, it's going to be like 2 years now coming up next month. A lot of concepts, a lot of them are corporate, a lot of them are corporate guys. So, they do a lot of thinking and planning. So, so we put a lot of time on the whole overall idea, the concept, what chain to use. The story, we needed the right story, so that story had to get started. If we didn't pick Novopangea, we could have done cars. We don't know. We could have done like we could have done turtles or zombies. We had no idea, right? So we had to really understand what the story is, because games are fun, but you need a good lore and a good story. Like I'm a big Final Fantasy fan, and part of the reason why I love Final Fantasy is, obviously the gameplay, but also the story behind it. So that was very important to us. And, the Novopangea bigger vision is not the game. It is the story. It is the IP. We want to get to digital comic books, but also we want a movie one day, a Netflix series. We want all that stuff. So, this game is just a step there. And it's so great to see how many people love the story and the artwork. And we haven't even released big meat of the story yet. We just have released little pieces of it in our NFT story cards as well as in the gameplay.
Nice. Well, it sounds like the story in the world that you're building is important to you. Not just like, hey, we got to slap a story on the game, but it sounds like you've invested yourself into it.
Yes, we 100%. We have one of our co-founders. That's his main job is a story. He has I think he said he has 3 chapters already done. and he's working on the next 3. And what's cool about the story is we're coming off PFP soon, and that we're going to be able, with those PFPs, you're going to be able to actually vote on scenarios inside the story. So the first 3 chapters are done. They're done like 80%. The other 20%, the community needs to vote to figure out, to really finish those 3 chapters. So after this token release, that's going to be the next thing we're really going to be engaging with our community about, is that section. And it's important because that might, talk about what is Vibora, who's one of the main characters, what is her weapon, her space weapon? What is the elements around them? What resources do they bring? And because everybody's going to have, each realm's going to have their own realm-specific resources, that's when each realm's going to start separating themselves from each other. That's when the strategy is going to, take it up a notch, and a lot more fun's going to happen. So those decisions, are going to come from the community. We guided them to this place, but now it's like, which way do you go? And that's where we need our community's help. We want to make sure they feel invested. We want their thoughts because, not one person, not 5 people know the best thing. The more feedback and more opinions, the better in my eyes. We just, like I said, this is really community driven. I hate saying that so many times because it sounds just like, like a buzzword, but it really is. And that's honestly, through all the struggles that I think that Wax has had and blockchains have had, Web3 has had, and crypto has had, the one thing that always stayed for me consistent and what would keep me here is the community of Web3, not just Novo, but the whole community in general. Because I think everything else is challenging, but the community is like the greatest asset Web3 has. It's not the technology, it's the community and that ideology.
Yeah, you make a great point because, we've been expanding our game for the last year, and we notice is that when the community's strong, it's strong. They're enjoying the game, they're interacting with each other, and so I think even we probably haven't focused on our community as much. And just as you're speaking, I'm kind of realizing that there are all kinds of things we could probably do to continue to enhance that. And I think it's interesting that you guys have kind of identified this early. It seems that community is important to you, and you're building it. It sounds like for the community, not just like in a platitude, but like in a very specific way in which it manifests in the game.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
That's interesting. Yeah. So I was looking at a drop that you guys had for these character or creation packs, some kind of like creator writer packs. Mm-hmm. Tell me more about that. How does that work? It seems like that's part of your feature for creating community content, user content.
Yes. So this is our chapter 2 packs, and in all transparency, the way we did it is because you said story was so big, and we wanted to show off the artwork. We have talented artists. We wanted to show off their ability, so we created story packs. Chapter 1 was just for 6 realms. I think there was 6 different cards per realm, and then each card had different tiers up into a legendary card. And it really got you to learn the different characters in each realm, the landscape cards on the land, the dwellings, to understand what the houses look like, a society card to see how people in that realm work together. To really get to understand, okay, Earth realm, Novopangea, you can close your eyes and visualize it. Same with space, etc. That was very important for us to get our community and our users to really understand the story and the world of Novopangea the best we could just through the NFT art. On the back of each card, there's a little blurb about it. Our legendary cards are absolutely beautiful. They'll have animation and sound, so you can really bring in, not just visual, but the sound, because the Shadow Realm, it sounds dark. The Water Realm, it sounds a little bit more fun. So maybe you didn't realize that the Water Realm was so fun by just the visual, but then when you hear the sound, it's like, okay, they're fun and laid back. In the Light Realm, it's really, those legendary cards are beautiful and they're very, very important. Even though I'm a founder, and I could get every card for free, I don't. And I personally collect those cards, and I don't have them all yet. Just to say I love those cards. So those are very important. It is. And then the epics and the legendaries and mythics are the most rare ones and the most beautiful cards. So we made sure those had in-game utility. So you can use those cards. They're very rare, but you can use them to speed up any type of time drain. And the Mythic also gives you access to every single realm. If not, you have to get a travel pass to get access to another realm besides your home realm. With that said, so the way we do it, we have a creator credit model, which when our users understand it, they love it. They absolutely love it because then they give the ability to open these packs, enjoy the art, learn the stories, and our art's very detailed because it shows you foreshadowing for the game and for the story in the artwork if you look in detail. And then they can actually trade those cards in. They don't get them back. They trade them in for game assets like skill workers, burnings, lands, etc., or whatever realm they want. So this way, when I was a kid, I opened a lot of basketball cards, boxes on boxes. I was obsessed. Every Christmas, I wanted basketball cards, nothing else. And I used to get so upset when I got, I didn't get Jordan or the teams I like, right? I got like duplicates, cards you don't like. You're like, what is this? This is garbage. At least now with that, you can still have that excitement of opening up cards, and the cards that you don't like, you can actually then trade in for game assets that you do like. So from that point of view, our community absolutely loves it. And now we're in chapter 2, so there's even two more cards, story cards per each realm. But the challenge with that is in transparency, and to be honest with everybody, if we were to do it again, we wouldn't be doing a creator credit model because it has really affected pack sales. Because when people are new to the project, that whole concept of creator credit is kind of a little bit overwhelming. We have plenty of videos on it, blogs, infographics, but people, not everybody has the time to look into it. So that has been a huge challenge for us selling that pack, especially to new users. And the people get it, they take advantage of it because right now the packs are more valuable than just going to secondary and buying assets. Because the creator credit's getting a pack, you can go to a marketplace and redeem it. It's more valuable. But it's hard for them to understand. So people just go secondary now and just buy that whatever game and assets they want. So that was a huge learning lesson from a business point of view. But I still think it was the right approach for the community as they get more options and choice, and they really get to learn the world of Novopangea through those cards.
So they're not actually creating content with these packs. They're getting like story bits or something. I'm a little confused about how that works.
Yeah. So basically, 100%. They're getting story bits. So each card really tells a story, and of a certain aspect about Novopangea. So you get to learn more and more. So like chapter 2, we talked about the creatures, the beasts that are in each realm. So you get to understand more about them. The cool thing about those is we actually asked the community to vote what was their ability. So like the space creature Crorex, he's just like, he looks like, a big white, like what they call like a Yeti. He looks like a big kind of, Yeti, scary looking Yeti. And we asked him, what is his ability? And we had a vote. Can he, does he have sharp teeth? Is he super strong? Can he, his claws cut through metal? And they voted on cut through metal. So then we made a card animated from climbing, cutting through metal. So the community did actually help decide what the artwork should be and what part of that he should be in the story. So when we start doing animated series and digital comic books, he will have that ability and features. And when we do PvP, he's a character in PvP, he will have that ability. He won't be super strong, but he'll have the ability to cut through metal. So if he goes against a Time Realm who has a metal armor, he can cut through them easily. So it all adds up. Like I said, it's all weaved together. And the community does have more of an impact than they realize.
Okay, that sounds pretty cool. So when you speak, I hear a lot of creativity. Like it seems like the world is very important to you. Even just like the nuances, like you're talking about, the claws that cut through metal. So where does that come from personally? Like are you an artist by trade?
No, I'm not. We have five co-founders. I'm just one of them. My background, I'm a comp sci guy from college, and then like my first 10 years, I worked in digital agencies, and I've been blessed to work on very, very creative people my whole life. So even though I'm like more technical, ones and zeros, I've been exposed to beautiful minds in the creative world. So I understand how creative really drives a vision. Creative is what people fall in love with. and the tech is needed to make sure it comes to life. So not a lot of technologists really understand that. They think tech is a driver, but it's not. Tech is the facilitator to creative or business decisions. So with that said, we have two people on our team who's very, very strong in the creative space. One's very talented in branding. He's oversees creative departments for super big brands within in our country. I know you heard of the brands, but I'm not going to say them. And the other one is very talented artist, but also he's an amazing storyteller. So like he has dreamt up this whole world, and it's incredible. So we listen to each other's feedback, and then when it comes to the actual artwork, like I mentioned, I was at agencies. I was fortunate enough to work with so much talented people around the world. And when we were talking about Novopangea, I decided to reach out to them first because I know the level of I know the talent's off the chain. So I reached out to them. They loved the idea. There's instant chemistry between them and our creative leadership team, and they worked together to produce this amazing artwork. So me kind of being the driver, I'm a driver. My superpower when it comes to work is I know how to get stuff done, and I don't take excuses. I get stuff done. So, but I understand other people's where they're way better than me at. So I just was able to let them do their thing, and they did amazing stuff I would never even thought about. And then I just take their beautiful ideas and their output and kind of help get it going, get it live. So that was all them. There wasn't one of my creative bones in my body doing any of that.
Yeah, it's super important. There are people like me where I am actually probably stuck in vision mode, maybe 60%, 70% of the time. And then there's that other part is really important. So, it usually need to get a leverage, right? Because I think probably like 90% of a project is get shit done. So the actual vision part of it is so small, but the doing of it is the big chunk. So that's interesting. What got you inspired to work in this space? You said you were working in computer science.
Yeah. So I was before I came here. My whole life I've been cutting edge stuff, right? My first job was at an agency here in Atlanta, Georgia. And my first project I ever did, this is back in the Flash days. I'm not sure how old you are, but I don't know if you remember Flash, Adobe Flash.
Oh yeah, I made a Flash game, Immortal Souls, Dark Crusade, yeah.
Awesome. Well, I was a huge AppScript developer. I loved it. When iPhone came out, I cried. But we did, my first project was for Willy Wonka. And I made a wonked out version of his room where you can customize his own room. I also worked on, what we call then virtual worlds, which is actually the metaverse for Coca-Cola, where people create the avatar, walk around, talk to each other, play music together. And for Barbie girls, where they basically, when they bought a Barbie doll, they get a USB port and they get a character that they can dress. They can go to movies with their friends, own this virtual world, which is basically a metaverse. We did this in like mid 2000s. So I've always been doing cutting edge technology. I loved it. A whole bunch of kiosks I made when what was it, Xbox Connect came out. I bought it just because you could code it. There was an SDK you could code against, so you can actually code your movements. I didn't buy it for any games. I never bought an Xbox game to this day, except the one that came with it to do the Xbox Connect stuff. So I've always been very into cutting edge technologies, mobile apps, websites, whatever. That's just what I do. So Web3 came out. I thought it was neat. I wanted to learn more about the blockchain and the tech side of it. And, I'm also an entrepreneur. So I saw, oh, there's money being made in here. It's a good opportunity to take a look at it. So that's what got me into it. But the reason why I'm staying, the only reason, to be honest with you, is the community, the people, because there's a lot of other places in the world to make money outside Web3. And, I'll be honest with you, I might get in trouble for saying this, but I don't think the tech's there yet at all. I think the tech's far away from
what? I
don't think the technology is where it needs to be. I think the technology is far away from where it needs to be for this to really take off. But the people are amazing. The people is what is going to be saving Web3 until the technology gets there.
You bring up a really great point, because as someone like you who's been working in this space for, you said 2 years, and it's been close to the same for me, I've noticed there is a strange like there's a high number of people and communities in the Web3 space. And the technology does have some, issues, limitations. Sometimes we get people coming to us and being like, the game's not working. It's like the game is working. It's just the blockchain that's congested.
Yeah.
Wait a little while. It's not a terrible experience they usually have, but it isn't, it isn't always great for instant gratification. But I've just been thinking of this recently, like there's so many people in this Web3 gaming space, Web3 in general, but also in gaming. There's just like all these different communities, so many of them, and they're all, catering to different kinds of players with different kinds of games. And I find that really fascinating, how active the space is for technology that is still so new. I mean, obviously we're not, what I would call mass adoption, but the intensity of interest and it's almost like, it's just, the love that people have for this particular space and the promise of what you can do with these games and these communities. I find that really fascinating. And it goes back to the point that you were saying that, that it's about the community. It's about the people who are here playing these games. And there's been kind of like this gold rush to try to get in early on projects and then, get rich and all this other stuff. But, when all that washes away, what you still have is the community, the people who are, participating in games that they care about, that treat them well, and project leaders and communities that they feel at home with. I find that to be kind of the most surprising thing that I found here. I thought that the way this whole Web3 thing would look was that we would spend like maybe a couple of years growing, and then it would hit mass market and suddenly everybody would be here. But I didn't expect this kind of like organic growth thing, like the community that is here that is building slowly. It almost seems stupid. Like, why didn't I think that was the way it was going to be? But that is the way it's turned out. Has that been your experience?
Yes, I think 100%. I think the gold rush people are leaving. I really seen all this last year, and I think last year, and I think it's going to continue this year. The gold rush people are leaving. The projects that are here just to make a quick buck are leaving. So, the people here are really going to be the loyalists. I do feel that a lot of the people here who are loyalists, they're all very similar in a type of mindset. So it's not like marketing to like a normal gaming or normal product or whatever, because there's so many different types of audiences. Everybody has their ideal customer and ideal persona from a business point of view. The Web3 people who are here championing Web3, they all have the kind of a similar vision. They love technology. They love to new things. They're cutting edge and they're believers. So that makes it kind of easier for us to do our job, because we understand our users a lot better. I would love to understand them a lot more, but we don't have that information to that data to, and that's the only way you can build better products for them. One thing though, that when you talk about mass adoption, I don't really see Web3 mass adoption, in my opinion, anytime soon. I think it'll become mass adoption. I was talking to one of our advisors yesterday about it. He has a very big Web3 project. I would think mass adoption is going to happen when Web3 is not even like Web3 anymore, right? It's when we figure out how to use the technology where it needs to be used, and the ideology where it needs to be used to. And the ideology of Web3 is nothing new. It's what all good brands have been doing for years. Whether it's, they have it's called play and earn, right? So you earn, what do you earn? You earn stuff to keep on playing, right? Well, have you heard of any type of loyalty program like Chipotle? It's eat and earn. So you keep on eating burritos to earn more points to eat more burritos. So, and then you have community management for social media, which is the Web3 community. Like all good brands, over the last decades have, used the great ideology, like, community-driven development, user-centric design. It's all the same stuff. It's just kind of more defined in the Web3 space. So that's really cool. But until we can figure out how to onboard people to our projects because they love the project, not because it's Web3, that's when mass adoption will happen. So when the whole Web3 takes a back seat and it's just the projects, whether it's, a game or comic book or a web platform, something for supply chain, whatever it is, that's when Web3 will get mass adoption. And right now, the barrier of entry with the wallet is just so difficult. So when that gets solved, and the users not even realizing they're on a Web3 platform, that's when I truly feel it's going to take over and have the mass adoption, and Web3 is just going to dominate.
So you think when wallets go away is when we're going to get that mass adoption?
I think yes. I think when we can be able to onboard a user. So for right now, we both have a game, right? I advise for a mobile gaming company that have a very similar mechanics as any Web3 game, and they can just basically run ads to users who play games. And then they can easily they are getting new users, thousands, tens of thousands of users a day. Imagine that, right? And what I mean. And we can't do that. We can't just run ads like that, because who are we going to target? We have to target, for us, Wax users. So we have to target crypto users who understand crypto, who believe in creating a wallet, showing your ID, all that stuff, if that's needed. And then they have to be on our Wax blockchain. And then where do you post those ads, right? There's very limited space where they play. You can't just do Facebook ads or mobile ads. So that's the hugest challenge. So if we can, just be able to one click, they're playing the game, they're having fun, they're doing all that stuff without that whole part, then it's going to really open up for us.
Right. To do that usually takes a considerable amount of resources. If we're talking about, let me know, what are you talking about? Are you talking about people being able to own their own assets and trade them with other people? Is that what you mean by a Web3 mobile app with no wallet?
Well, yeah, that would be part of it. So imagine playing our game Novopangea. They just create an account, log in, and then they can basically own an asset. So we would have to do everything in the background. So they won't even realize they're doing it. Just I'm sure you're familiar with Clash of Clans. Basically Clash of Clans, you get buildings too, right? In my game, you get buildings too. Their buildings are digital assets. Mine's a digital assets NFT. So I'm playing Clash of Clans, but what if each of those buildings was an NFT that I actually own? And now I got them maxed out, I forgot what level it is, but they're maxed out. What if I can just, have an in-game, kind of like World of Warcraft had, an in-game exchange to keep it or to trade it for somebody else, or sell, whatever, stuff like that. You can create that whole experience without the user really knowing, all the mechanics. They might know that they actually own the asset, but they might not know the underlying technology and all that other stuff. That it would be, to me, be amazing. But we definitely need a lot more help from, I think, blockchains like Wax or Polygon, et cetera, to really create that experience, that those SDKs and all this stuff to make that life a lot easier. Because for us to create the technology and then you to create that same technology, and then for another project to create that same technology, it's just not helpful for the space in general. We should all be doing it together, and they should be leading it.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not sure if there is a perfect solution, because we use the Web3 blockchain Wax for certain reasons. One is that people get to, have a certain level of custodianship over their own assets. The Wax Cloud Wallet is a little bit different in that it is very email based. So it's not like you get your own key. If you want to use your key with Wax, you have to get Inca Wallet or something like that. But I really do like the Wombat Wallet, which was very easy to set up with. I basically just opened the app and then I jumped in there and then, I linked my email account and then bam, I was in, I had a new wallet and so, there are certain levels where it's kind of there and there are certain levels where it's not. And we've mostly focused just on the purely Wax Cloud Wallet, just because it's been the cheapest and and I would say it's the cheapest, easiest way to do it, quite frankly.
Yeah.
And but I think we're onto something that the easier we can make it, the more players we'll have. Because right now it is definitely you have to have a certain level of technical either aptitude or stamina in order to get the Wax Cloud it didn't get the Wax Cloud Wallet at all. I know I actually had trouble in the early days. I was able to sign up for Wax Cloud Wallet very easily, but it was the getting of Wax tokens where I got stumped because back then a lot of the services where you could buy it, they were having issues. I was trying to get it through, I think, Simplex, and like it was, and they were like turning down my credit card. I had to call them, and they're like, well, they're in Israel, so this looks kind of fishy, and it's like it's out of the United States, and so I missed like the boat on buying some Alien Worlds lands in the beginning before its massive, run up. Because I was having trouble getting Wax. I was like, how do I get the Wax to buy the damn land? And I was trying to run the company at the same time. And I was like, I only got so many hours in the day. Like, I'm just going to deal with this like the next day. And the next day turned into the next week. And then by the next week, like suddenly everything was up 8x on Alien Worlds. And I was like, well, damn. Thanks, Barrier to Entry, for screwing me over,
Dude, you're 100% right, because it happened to me. I was, I first, got, look at Novopangea. This is when I actually started looking at the space, and I created my Wax wallet pretty easily. But for me to buy the Wax was such a pain in the butt, and like it took days, turned into weeks. And I'm just like, F this. This is too much work. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. And like my partner was like, Mike, you got get some Wax, stop playing some of the games. I'm like, dude, this is not worth it. I was just like, he ended up sending me Wax, and I eventually figured out a way to do it, but like, it's just too complicated. And then you got to understand about the CPU usage and staking it there. Do you stake it to CPU? Do you stake it to RAM? We have made videos for our users, and there's videos on YouTube. But like any new user that I get, like I have some friends from high school who are hardcore gamers. They love games. So I even sent them, they have the Wax wallet. I sent them some Wax to to them, give me feedback on our experience. And it's always the same thing. Like, what do I do as soon as it hits the Wax CPU stuff? So stuff like that is going to make it very difficult. So if you want to bring in these new users, I'm not saying we get rid of the ownership and stuff. If you're that technical savvy person, you can still, go look on Atomic Hub and go look on the chains for all that information. I'm not saying get rid of that stuff. It's still there, but for the everyday user, and there's going to be way more everyday users than, these super smart people. They don't need that. I would love to see, I know Wax does some great stuff with sponsorships if people are making tools, for projects. If I'm creating a new tool for the community, yada, 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 they would give scholarships out for that. I think there's a huge miss by Wax for not supporting the projects, because if you don't have strong projects, well, who is these people making tools for? The people who are using the tools are using tools for projects. So the lack of support that I think Wax shows on projects, I'm not too crazy about. I think they could do a lot better, and they can make it performance-based, because obviously some of our pros, some don't have like the perseverance and drive to get it to the place. But if you are making, maybe, your project's driving X amount of transactions a day or whatever the KPIs might be, if projects hit that, then they should be able to somehow reward those projects with R&D funding. Wax is to help. If you give me a whole bunch of Wax, we'll code it so then we take the majority of the Wax hit, not our users. So that's going to help new users. That's going to help a lot of people. That's going to make our games more fluid, more fun, more seamless. It's really going to improve the experience, and more users want to jump on Wax. Especially the new people. I'm telling you, I have so many new people come in, and our Discord's like, what does this mean? What does this mean? What does this mean? We have to explain how to stake it. Like, what the hell? Why do I got to do this to play a game? So there's so much I think Wax could do for the projects, for onboarding, to really help us be successful and help the blockchain. Like, I think they have a big responsibility for the whole, blockchain, to help us get more users, and they need to give us the tools to get more users. Forget about tools to build stuff, to code data, yada, yada, yada. That's important to know, but that's not the priority in my eyes. They need more users. They need to make it easier to get more users, and they need to focus over there.
Yeah, it's kind of a big thought. You laid out some interesting scenarios that you'd like to see where they're rewarding people who are building tools, or rewarding people who are driving transactions on the blockchain. So have you ever proposed that to them? Have you talked to anybody?
I need to. I need to meet some more people. I don't really know anybody at Wax personally, so I need to start.
Yeah, me neither.
Meet them and have conversations with them. Like, I was at NYC and NFT back in June, July, but I don't have the knowledge that I have now over the last 6 months. So like I got to meet Quigley and I got to meet the team there. But I didn't have these thoughts in my head then. If I did, I would have been more than transparent with them. That's just who I am as a person, because at the end of the day, we all have the same goal: is we want this blockchain to kick ass, and we want we want great users, because we already have the users we do have are amazing, and we want more of these amazing people, and our amazing people want even more people to hang out with.
Yeah, I would suggest going to their website. I have met with their one of their business development people once for about 30 minutes. It was when we were still really early, and we really didn't come to any conclusions about how to work with each other. But I would just suggest going to the website. They have like a partnership link. You can probably go be like, hey, I've been building here for 2 years, got some ideas. I've worked in business development and tech for X amount of years, and they'll probably talk to you.
That's a great idea. I'm definitely going to take advantage of that suggestion.
Nice. I still haven't got a good idea of like what inspired you to be here. You said you had, you'd seen, you've basically been working in tech, and then you saw that, Web3 was here and you're interested in new tech, and the community is here. Maybe the past isn't necessarily a thing to talk about, but the future. What is like the future that you're hoping for Novopangea in your community? Like, what is it that you see in the future for them that you're bringing into creation?
Oh, I will, like I said, our dream would be to have, this anime series on Netflix, a movie, to that level would be if the IP could be globally known, a household name. I hate to say like Game of Thrones or Marvel. That's like very aspirational, but that is where I love to see it be. And at the end of the day, how cool would that be was if your character from Novopangea made it to that movie or a TV show. Your idea made it into it. Your vote made it into it. So that's like, it's all about the IP, and whatever we can stem from the IP, whether it's a game, it's stories, it's movies. That is the future, we're pushing for. And the community is a huge part of it. Like I mentioned, they decide our creatures' abilities. So if there's a movie and there's an action scene, you're gonna see those abilities that the community voted on. Maybe one of the people, guy or girl in our community, suggested that feature. That ability, and then everybody else voted on it. That was their idea. It wasn't our team's idea. It was their idea. So so when they start seeing the movies and stuff, they will really feel. I think they'll have a different type of appreciation for it than even like the most diehard Game of Thrones fans or Lord of the Rings fans, because they knew they really helped shape and make this world that we all came to love.
That's kind of like a rare big reward, being someone who was there early to see something take off, right?
Yes, and we have also had in the future talking about and this is I don't want to say this is put in stone. This is this idea of throwing around before, is that depending on different NFTs you buy, or maybe we do a fundraising thing to NFTs. Those people get credits on those shows. So the final credits, it would actually show their name as in it. Those are things that we are looking at, right? Just to really, because, when people, I feel a lot of times in society, whether it's in your house, your family, your job, your community, not enough people get credit for their ideas, thoughts, and actions. So if we have community members, really helping grow us, whether from their support, maybe they're buying a whole bunch of NFTs, but they don't say anything. They're still helping us. Maybe they every day in Discord and Twitter, but they don't have the capital. They don't have the funds to support us. They're supporting. To buy things. They're supporting us, right? So everybody has their own part to play in society, whether it's Novopangea or not. And it's important to give them credit. So when we get to that point, we would definitely love to make sure in our credits there's a way to highlight the contributors, whether it's different ways to contribute. We want to definitely highlight that stuff. We do like to reward our community in many different ways. we always do giveaways. We always do something where, right now in our community is like, we have daily tweets, and if they tweet X amount of times in a month, our topic, they get something from us. So maybe I don't have money to go buy all these assets, but I love your game. Well, okay, then you can help support us this way, and we can make sure we'll give you assets to play with. We do a lot of stuff like that. I'm like, my background, like I said, was dev, but then I became the product guy, so I oversaw everything for products being made. And this comes back to how a lot of the thoughts and ideas about Web3 isn't that new. Human-centered design, when you're designing any type of product, mobile app, loyalty app, whatever, you get feedback from your consumers. So we have given out a lot of surveys and stuff. So the people who took the time to actually give us intelligent, thoughtful answers, they received a skilled worker, which is, now those is trading for like $15. A level 1 is on Atomic Hub. So we really have given the opportunity for our users to experience Nova, we participate and actually earn and get rewarded for their time and their ideas. And we're going to continue that mindset. That mindset is very important. It's all about the customer, no matter what business it is. And at the end of the day, the community is our customer. So for us to be successful, they have to be happy and feel like they're successful too.
Yeah. Just from looking at your website, I feel like there could be more of this on the website. This kind of, I really need like a video of you, like on the top video of the website, like showing your passion for empowering them to create the future of Novopangea, because you have such a great vision for having people participate and be credited and have an impact on the creation of the world you're building and the future of the product you're building. I feel like that's probably a massive draw to your game that might not be front and center on your website like it should be. As I go to your website, I see it's like a strategy game, right? Like, so now I'm starting to think, well, how can I get ahead in this game and all this other stuff? But it sounds like the real value that you're providing is with the power for the community to create and the credits that people can get. I feel like you guys really need to like hit the marketing head there a little bit more. And it's probably just you, just like talking to video. What do you think about that?
We actually have a website that's going to be releasing after our token launch that is more driving that message of the whole community-driven, not just story, game, everything in general. One thing we came out with were these our PFPs, and the idea behind those are they're actually going to be on Polygon. And our goal is to get multi-chain. We don't, that's one thing I think Web3 needs to get to. There's too many chains. And basically with this PFP, everybody have a unique one. You can become like a citizen of Novopangea, and you can help create your character and story. And then if you do a lot of work and becomes popular, you can be part of the story and the content. So we're really pushing that that part and that messaging to really show people that you are part of Novopangea, and this is who you are in it, by the PFP that you choose. So that messaging will really be coming out in our new our website. After our token launches, right now that's the main driver, because that's going to pay the bills and continue to support our development. But you will see more of your messaging, hopefully next month, maybe a month afterwards. But yeah, I'm glad you identified that. So that's pretty that's pretty awesome that you saw that. So kudos to you, buddy.
It's coming. It's coming.
Yeah. I've been actually the one responsible for not having it live yet, because I'm like, no, we gotta get through the token launch first, and right now the game is the driver, and people get here, so they need to understand it, and then they can see the bigger vision afterwards. Like my other partners are pushing to get that up sooner. Have been the roadblock for that right now.
Your strategy seems really interesting, and the best part about it is that you have experience building products, developing products, and also big IP products. And that's something you really don't see in this particular space, especially Wax in particular. You don't see a lot of established people who've worked in major products. At least I don't think so. I think maybe Alien Worlds, I think they have some, experienced people on their teams. But most of these other projects, they don't. I mean, I come from Hollywood, so, I was all about the experience of the story and the writing and the editing and producing stuff. I worked in tech a little bit, but I've never had anything quite as definitive as like product development. So I could see where having this experience of seeing what it's like to develop a product, especially at scale with, an already an existing audience, and how do you satisfy that existing audience to get them the product that they enjoy, it probably gives you a level of understanding that a lot of your other competitors in the space don't have.
I totally agree, and we might have to use your connections in Hollywood to help us make a movie. But no, I think
producers that made Sharknado, I know them.
that's a classic, bro. That's a cult classic. That's a cult classic. Yeah. But you brought up a good point, because I think about Web3, Novopangea, Wax all the time. Like when I'm in the shower, when I'm driving my car, my brain isn't shut off. I'm always thinking about it, and my wife kills me about it. But you said something that I've been thinking about a lot lately. And, people, a lot of us are dreamers. A lot of us see the big picture and they dream, but they're not realistic. So those dreams can't come true because they're too busy dreaming it and not being realistic. You have to be realistic to make your dreams come true. And I think a lot of people miss that, point. And I tell my co-founders that all the time. And I think Wax needs to be realistic of who they are as blockchain, right? If you notice, all the big IP, the big brands, they're going to Polygon and other chains. You got Starbucks and everybody. They're going to other places. But Wax is very, very, very important. It's one of the most important chains in my eyes. That is where the dreamers can dream. That is where the indie entrepreneurs, game developers, story content creators, whatever you are, that's where they live in my eyes. And that's where they that's where they dream. And I think Wax really needs to embrace that and really needs to kind of change their motto and really focus on nurturing that and growing that. Because at the end of the day, the people who are on Web3 now, those are who the audience are, whether you are building a project or you are an active contributor, buying a consumer. Those are the personas of, I feel, the people in Web3 right now. And Wax actually, I think they're the best blockchain for this. So if they really lean into this whole entrepreneur, dreamer type of person and really build their blockchain and their business around that, I think they will always have, and they'll continue to grow, a huge place in this Web3 space. You don't have to you don't have to have McDonald's and Nike and all these huge brands. If you're going for these guys, that might not be the best strategy. I don't know what their strategy is, but that might not be. But you have amazing following. You have the indie market, and imagine if Novopangea or Alien Worlds gets a movie and they go to the next level and they blow, and it's because of the Wax blockchain. You have to kind of nurture, the dreamers on Wax and the entrepreneurs, and really help facilitate their success, because that's what's going to help Wax so much.
Yeah, you should tell them that. you should tell them that.
We'll send them this podcast.
Right? Yeah. I think it's interesting. The reason we came here was because we saw that there was a place where you could do transactions for very cheap. And we were looking at Ethereum, and it's literally 1,000 times more expensive or more to operate on Ethereum. It's just that's insane. And we were like, well, why is no one else building on Wax? It's who cares? Just go. It's just people were here, right? But not at that level of some of the bigger brands. But I do think it is purely down to the operational team at Wax, what they're doing with the chain. And I think it's kind of catch-22, because I think we've kind of hit a sweet spot where the Wax chain hasn't grown so fast that it's broken.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just stayed kind of at this nice operational level. If we were 10 times more popular, obviously transactions theoretically could be 10 times more expensive to do. So there's kind of like a sweet spot that we're in. But I do think that the desired outcome is that, there are more users on Wax, and that would mean more users on like Atomic Hub and our games. And that is definitely a good thing. But I think, the business models will probably have to change as well, because a lot of these chains, the people who created them, the people who manage them, they make their money from the nodes and the tokens those generate, so that they can keep those, servers running that operate the nodes. And so they're incentivized to actually have the value of the token go up. The way I keep looking at it, though, is that we actually want the operational value for a player to use the chain to go down. So it's kind of this interesting tug of war that we're in right now. And I sometimes think that I think we're going to be in a really interesting ecosystem over the next 10 years where there are different people doing different things, but probably what you said before about it just being invisible is the most important thing. And maybe even chains like Wax should be moving towards this, not like trying to like pump up the value of the token of Wax, but get to the place where just people can come and use it easily. Because generally, when you have users, you actually do have leverage when it comes to capital, because you have ads, you have products you can push, you have, people know your name, people are there. And I think sometimes like a perfect future looks more like what you were describing, which is, this place where people can go, not worry about what they have to use the game. They just get to use the game, and whether they just log in with their face or a PIN number, they don't have to worry about buying Wax tokens, staking CPU. And so I think there's kind of this future that is at odds with the current structure, where the people who run nodes want to see the token go up. Of course they do, because they've spent so much money operating those nodes. And I think our business models are going to have to kind of fit into those things. I think it's really fascinating, but something that we continually do is we just try to operate off the base fundamentals. And it sounds like you do that as well, especially when it comes to your vision for a community-built world. And if you just stick to the fundamentals of what it is that you're trying to achieve, the best experience according to your vision, for us, it's just play a fun game, want to come back and play more, better, smoother experience, and finish, feel like you're building something as well. And as long as we make those fundamentals workable, we're basically keeping with that. We're trying to stick to what Elon Musk has always talked about, first principles. I love that. Stick to what is true. And so we kind of try to follow that while we're building. Does any of that resonate with you? What's your thoughts?
100%. One thing that you touched about a few things, like right now, there needs to be more revenue models for games to be successful. You mentioned ads. I talked to so many ad vendors. I modeled it so many ways. The amount of views we need to have on an ad is just not there, right? It's not there. Like, so there's no point even implementing it, right? And that will change if it had the users, right? You can have another whole model for bigger things. And, yes, they want the transactions and stuff because, we want the users to, the cost go down for transactions. But like, to be honest, if I was, again, to restart Novopangea, I would do as much as I could off chain, right? And that can also help, that could help Wax. Why not? If they can tell us like what should be on chain, what really like a best practice, what should really be on chain and what should not be on chain. So maybe they can save some money that way when in the nodes and whatnot. And then so if they can help us make more money, then I would pay them more money too for like servers, for licensing fees, for like you said, the model can change. I would pay for premium API serve. I would pay for different things as a business owner. they just need to give us the tools to be more successful, and then I'm happy to give them more money. As long as they're making our lives easier and making us more successful. Like, I'm gonna tell you right now, if I really wish I put more of Novopangea off chain, just make sure that I identify what's important to be on chain, to show ownership, to show everybody transparency. But there's a lot of features that we want to do. Can't do it because the user has to click an action to execute it. There's a lot of things that are affecting the overall experience of the game, freaking performance of the game. My CTO is obsessed with performance. Like, I worked with him on so many projects in my life. This guy's a performance nut. He takes so much pride in his performance, and he's like, Mike, it's a blockchain. There's only so much I can do. So if WAC, and again, that helps experience. It helps people enjoy it, have fun, spend the time here, and then they'll get more to other friends and get more users. So that, again, maybe there's a more education for new projects. Maybe they have professional services. So, okay, if I'm starting a project, maybe I pay them $5,000, $10,000, whatever it is, for consulting to really help us architect it really correctly to make sure it's best fitted on Wax. So there's plenty of ways Wax could do it to change the model to still make money. I'm saying in the short term, that can help them in the long term, which help projects in the long term. It all depends on what their vision. If they're just chasing big brands, which maybe it's not, I don't know the vision. If they're chasing big brands, big IP, that's one way too. I don't know their finances. I don't know if that's working for them and they're crushing it, then they should keep doing it. It's their business, right? So it's really up to them. I'm just, this is just my thoughts on, by leveraging their platform.
Yeah, well, I think you have really valuable insights, and I think they would be lucky to get your input on what they're doing. I'm getting all kinds of great value just listening to you talk about these things. I'm thinking, I think if we, as we continue to expand our games, we probably will create some more off-chain systems. We haven't done it for lots of reasons I've talked about for a long time, but we've kind of started to notice that if you create basically a clicker game that is entirely on-chain, there's eventually like a limitation to the amount of clicking that even, a dedicated player wants to do.
Yep.
And so I find that really interesting. If someone could actually be more in the game world for longer without having to feel like they're continually clicking things, I can really see the value in that. We're kind of getting to that stage now where, some of our players do get clicking fatigue from just running all these different transactions.
I do. I do play my own game. 100% I do. I understand that. And I think we have to understand, who our gamers are, and that goes to the personas. And, people, when people always say this, they're tired of the clickers, the clicking games, they want more fun games. At the end of the day, the way I look at majority of the users in the gaming space on Wax is they're here first, unfortunately for ROI. If they want to play a fun game, they'll get an Xbox. A PC game for a fun game, right? A mobile game. They'll play fun games there. So they just have an affinity with gaming, but that's not their main driver, right? So, but if you can make a fun game for what their main driver is, then you're going to kick butt. You're going to kick butt. If you made a game as fun, as easy, smooth as, like, say, Clash Royale, Clash of Clans, then you'll be dominating the space. And then that for us to do that, obviously you need a lot more money, and I don't think there's too many projects on Wax that have that money. But then we could still do it with our type of games, but you're going to have a lot more off chain. Like for one things that we have that's annoying to me, annoying to our users is that, after our skilled workers are done working, they have to go to a residential building to rest. So what you have to do is you have to actually log in, click to put them into a building to rest. I 100 million trillion % would love that when their work is done, automatically go into a building to rest. I would love that. It's just one less click. It's more seamless. It's just other games that do that. That's off the chain. It's just easier, but we're stuck because of the tech. Well, I don't want to say it's technology. It's the way we built it. Because we the new project, we thought everything needs to be on chain, because if it's not on chain, yada yada yada. But I think the great thing is the community I was reading tweets and posts about this recently. The community of gamers actually are preferring that now. They want to see a lot less transactions. They want to do a lot less clicking. And it's not just like clicking a game, it's clicking a transaction. So they will be, my eyes, they're definitely way more open-minded to doing what you can off chain and just on the chain, really showing the ownership. So any other point in decision that needs to be out and open. You don't want, hide stuff like when, you earn in-game resources, that's important. Maybe that always has to stay on chain. But again, that's where, maybe more just educational videos from Wax, more content for, projects. Or you, we ended up, I don't know if you heard of Machinations. We started our project. Machinations is a software out there, Web3, any type of game, honestly, to help you have a stable economy. So that's a big reason why, we've been live for so long with our token. We really wanted to make sure our economy is stable. We ran a whole bunch of models, simulations for months in advance. We with tweaking around prices for, in-game rent, in-game wages, all that stuff, And it was great. We learned a lot from them. It was a great thing, but they were very expensive for a company our size. For like, a big company, no, they weren't that. They're a good price for a big company like that. But for us, they're expensive. But we still pay that because we weren't experts in that area. Right? We knew this was very important. We knew we didn't have that skill set in-house. So we didn't want our projects to fail and screw over our community. So we pay that instead of giving ourselves money. We put that money back into the company. But I definitely would have paid Wax X amount of dollars for them to check out our architecture and our plan and our strategy. I'm not going to pay a third-party consultant because we talked to a lot of those third-party consultants before the projects went live, and this space is so new, you don't know who you can trust. Right? You don't know who, I'm not saying trust as somebody who's going to take your money and run, but you don't know how good they are. And especially me and doing so many projects, for agencies and companies that I have hired and worked with so many contractors and consultants that actually had no idea what they were talking about, but they knew all the buzzwords, and I didn't know anything, but I knew the buzzwords. Like, they sound smart, they're good, and then I realized I messed up. So I wasn't going to let that happen. We weren't going to let that happen here. So, but if Wax offered it, or say, hey, or maybe they could say, hey, they vet out X amount of Wax architects and say, hey, okay, this is a trusted guy. Like they have the ambassador program for social media and stuff, but they maybe have a technology ambassador program and be like, hey, these are guys you can hire, trust, and help you vet your architecture. And they may have their own fees, whatever it is, that way Wax doesn't have to take it on, but they can make more money. I would have appreciated that. And then I would have, my whole team would have, we would lean on them to make sure, our CTO and our architect, who's extremely smart, but he's never done Wax before, make sure we set it up correctly. So there's a lot they can really do, I really feel, to help us be more successful, which would help our users be happier.
Yeah, it sounds like you have a lot of ideas.
I've been working on so many projects in my life, you have no idea. And it has, it's just to me, blockchain is just a different technology. And like I said, I started with Flash and then mobile apps and then anything. The technology changes all day long. So this is all it is. It's a different project, just new technology. And technology, it could be a framework, it could be a CRM, CMS system, it could be anything, right? It's just different technology. So it's all the same stuff about how to get it done.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the biggest challenge that people like, the core Wax team, I mean, any of us face really if we're in a new technology is the speed at which it changes, right? Like, you here you are one day with conception of what a technology is, and then the next year it's so rapidly moving that it's completely different. All the fundamentals that you knew in the previous year could be changed by a new, better product, like say new, better blockchain a year from now, 2 years from now. A lot of what you are doing right now might even be obsolete because of something else that was created later. We see this all the time in technology. I mean, I think both of us have been in technology long enough to just see, I used to be a part of a company called Cinema Now, I worked for them for like 5 years, and we were one of the first video on demand companies on the internet. And, we were trying to work with MGM and all Warner Brothers and Sony and all these movie studios to get movies online. And then YouTube came out, and I remember the meeting where our CEO was like, well, YouTube sold for like $100 million or something like that, probably more. And he was like, and all we had to do was just let people upload their damn videos. Just let them upload their own damn videos. And that was all we had to do to win this game. And it was just kind of just like, wow. It's just like, and we were, here we were just like in the trenches trying to, dig out these deals with Sony. And then eventually the Apple Store, Apple released, the Apple Video or Apple iTunes. Basically, they started to release videos, and that was it. It was like, oh, well, Apple just lets you download videos now. We're definitely not going to win this game. But and it happened, pretty rapidly. Over the course of 5 years, we went from being people who had like the greatest market share to having like a fraction of the market share. And that market share was never very big to begin with in the early days, so it's kind of fascinating. I think it's great to see that you still have an open mind and having the experience that you have as well as a product developer and being like, okay, how can I apply what I know about building products and evolving tech to what we're doing right now. Whereas some of us, like here, I'm just trying to figure out where everything is right now, more or less looking at the future, like, damn, it seems hard. And I'm sure people like Wax could really use, your point of view of what they could be doing different.
Yeah. Like at the end of the day, I'm always gonna go back to its users. This technology is always challenging, and that's why I basically convinced my my buddy to be our CTO, because I worked with him for years, and he was I worked with a lot of technologists, but he's the best I ever worked with. The reason I wanted him is because I've seen so many times where we have no idea how to do this. We know it can be done, and we have the idea, and he always has figured out how to do it. He has a work ethic. I think, as good as mine, if not better. I think work ethic's hard to find nowadays. And with his brain and his technical problem solving ability, that's why I wanted him. I was like, I can't do this without him, because I knew there was so much unknowns in this space. I know there was such poor documentation. Luckily the Wax community, dev community is phenomenal, and they're very helpful to help each other. So that, again, it's community. It's all about, this community is amazing, and we need to capitalize on it, whether it's the dev community or the users. It's absolutely community. Like you and I technically are competition, right? And we're working together to, to learn from each other and to help grow both our projects and both of the blockchains. So, and that's just, you don't see that in a lot of industries. And that's, again, it's the type of people who are on Web3. So that's why to me, that's why Web3 will be around, is because of the people. And it's not the technology, it's the people in my eyes. But yeah, it's all about the users. At the end of the day, that's what's gonna help us all grow, and that's what's gonna make us be successful. Is we gotta find how to get, users to join our projects because they like our projects, not because they like the blockchain and Web3 space. They're gonna be, oh no, that looks fun, cool IP. Okay, I can have a little hobby. I may have instead of having a cigarette break or eating a Snickers for that day, I can spend 5 minutes. Be part of this community and be part of this world and experience. I can do that, and that's why like you said, you don't want too many clicks, because then it becomes a job, and people have jobs already. They don't want your hobby to become a job unless you're making a load of money. And they're not. They're playing it because it's fun. They're part of a community. They're part of something bigger. And that's what we really need to need to get to.
Yeah, those are really great points. I think it's more sustainable that way as well. You sound like you have an American accent. Are you American?
I'm from New England. I'm from Rhode Island, so I do have a strong accent, and I went to college in Boston, and now I live in the South, so I do say y'all. My Boston and my Rhode Island's accent is a little bit different in Boston, but my Rhode Island accent it's not as strong as it used to be, but it's still stronger compared to anybody in the South. So since I've been around, the East Coast, my accent kind of is like muddled together. But I would never lose it. I tried. I cannot lose this.
I bring it up because the culture that I grew up with was, consume, buy, become immensely wealthy and, just like, sell products, make money, and then be rich and then you win. Like that's the American capitalist, dream, which was, be rich and then you win. Congratulations. And that's a lot of the culture that I grew up with. But I love what you're speaking to, which is, more fundamentally looking at, the value providing for the people rather than telling them, hey, come join this game, make profit. And we promise you profit, which we don't, but like, and then people are like, wait, but really? And you're like, oh yeah. And then feel bad for anybody who's willing to fall for that, but I feel like what you're talking about is more sustainable, having this value that is repeatable for community to feel like they're building something with you, rather than chasing this crazy ROI dream like you're talking about.
Yes, like that. And that's the thing is, well, first we can't promise anything. We're not financial, whatever that disclaimer is. Everybody has to say. But like again, like I feel like that's snake oil. And one thing that I've always tried to do is be very, very honest. And I think we saw a shift in our community when we do these weekly pack breaks. And, we started that because I'm not sure if you watched them. Basically, since you have 6 realms, you have 6 spots in each pack break. And so everybody, 6 people buy into it. And then we open a whole bunch of packs. We have a lot of fun. We try to get the legendary and the mythic cards. And then whatever realm you got, I send you all the cards probably the next day. Maybe if I'm lazy, maybe 48 hours. But the community knows it's coming. But before then, I think there really wasn't a personal attachment to the community. And so since we started doing that, the community has grown exponentially closer. Like, I mean, closer. So they really got to know and trust us, and really us, and get to know each other. They know who, I am and who Franklin is, they just know who we are because of, we're out there being open and honest. And that's important. So like, if we were to say, hey, play this game, an X amount of dollars, I feel like if I don't deliver that, would feel like an asshole. So you really have to be honest and genuine. So we're really building it for them to have, to have fun. And we want to be the place where you have, like I said, you have 5 minutes a break, at work, whatever you want to check out. I want you to check out Discord first because you just want to see what's going on. I kind of, would love Novopangea to be your virtual home, your virtual comfort zone. And we all have them. We might not realize it, but when we grab our phone, we check something first to get that relaxation, kind of feeling to make us feel a little bit more secure and better. I would love that to be Novopangea. So it's very important. So if we start saying that stuff about, you got these profits or stuff, we stop over promising and under delivering, we're going to lose all that trust. So it's very important to be honest. And we're going to continue to be honest that way. I've told many people, I told some of my podcasts, streams all the time, and our pack breaks, I care more about, honestly, the community than I do my co-founders. And that's just because, our co-founders were in together working every single day, but our community is who we're building stuff for, right? They're the ones who invested their time and their money and all this other stuff. And I really think time is more important than money. They invested their time to be with us, to spend with us. So, if but if Novo fails, I'll feel more bad for our community than our co-founders. Like, we all took this risk together, right? But our community believed in us. So, that's what's really always going to keep driving me to do the best we can. So.
What drives you to be the best you can is this home and the trust that you're building with your community.
Yeah, it's a commitment to them. I don't want to let them down. So that's really what, keeps me always thinking about Novo and ways to continue to grow it, and continue for them to have fun, and enjoy their time, and like, it's crazy because, some people, whether they're on an internal team or in the communities, and like, when you have trolls, every once in a while you get a troll. We don't get them that often, but we got them a lot in the beginning. And every time, but every once in a while, somebody in November was talking about something. We have a lot of people in our community that defends us and attacks, and I don't think they need to attack. I don't think that's good, because they are saying something that's on their mind because they care about our project. So whether it's taking us too long to get the token launched, taking whatever it is, right? They've been here. They invested their time in our project. I want to hear it. I want to hear them. I don't take it personal. They're right. Maybe it took longer than we expected, and they have a right to their opinion. They're putting their time in. So I'm more open to hearing all those trolls. We had some people when we first launched the project. When we first launched our project for the game was live, we were selling land NFTs because we were selling some Chapter 1 packs because it helped fund everything, right? So we had a very good deal for those people who purchase the land. If you spend X amount of creator credits, you can get a lot. You can get land instead of 36 creator credits. It'll only be 15 creator credits. Some people took advantage of it, got a whole bunch of land, and then they were just selling it in secondary. Well, a handful of people are very upset by that. And then I'm like, why are you upset? If they didn't purchase that land at that deal, we wouldn't have the capital to get the game live and do X, Y, and Z. So if anything, we should be grateful for these individuals who believed in us enough to do it and purchase that land. And if they want to sell it the next day, then whatever they want to do with it, that's theirs, and that's their right. So I've always believed in that. I never got mad. I never cared. I'm still grateful to those people to this day. I even, DM them and tell them that, thank you. We wouldn't have been here without you, etc. And a lot of them actually came back, and they're still playing. Now they're playing the game. They got their money back from that deal for just a discount, and they sold it, and they broke even, and now they have a whole bunch of assets that they keep into play. So I never looked at it as a bad thing. I looked at it as, they actually helped us get to where we are today. So it's just how you look at, every situation. I don't know if that answers your question. I think I went on a tangent there. I'm sorry, buddy.
No, it's a great, no, I love what you're expressing there, because I see the same thing, right? Like, we have players who, we're experiencing it right now. We have players who have been supporting us for a long time, and then for whatever reason, the market volume has been down quite a bit lately. And then they come in and they're like, guys, like, what's going on? Like, why aren't you doing things? And the first impulse is sometimes, well, it's like, well, I just said what I'm doing. Like, I just literally made like a post. Let me go get the post and show it to you. Take those couple of minutes out of my time, and then it comes again and again, and then I have to go, and interact with them. But then there's the other side of it, which is the acknowledgement that, those people have supported us for as long as they have. And they've been playing the game. They've been buying us assets, which supports us with secondary market volumes. And we have these low mint fees for minting assets, most of our assets, and also help support the game. So there's this other side of it where, those users are important to the growth of the game, the creation of the game. And there's a level of respect and communication that we as project creators have to have with them, and acknowledging the space that they're in and the people that they've been for the project, rather than seeing them as like a problem, or that they're saying something that we're afraid might make us look bad, or take time out of our day or something like that. For me, it's time. It's like, do I really have time to deal with this right now? But I mean, it sounds like you're a father, so you probably really understand this part of like your day getting interrupted.
100%. Yeah. No, but what you said is actually another tough point, that we have been experiencing, and it's the fact that, say, hey, you posted this communication, right? But they didn't see it. That happens every single day to us. You know, I'm always on Discord. I'm obsessed. That's probably not a good thing. My wife says I'm always on. It's like, who are you talking to? Who are you texting? I'm like, I'm on Discord. Discord knows my wife because of the pack breaks and just because I'm always on it. But, you know, that's actually a bigger topic, I think, is around the communication. So we made a strategic decision earlier this month, late in January, that we are not going to release any more land claims. Originally, you know, not knowing the market and how many users on Wax, we were going to have way more land claims. And then we made an announcement that we're not releasing any more land claims because we looked at the numbers and the users and listened to the community, no more. And then we're also going to be doing monthly land rewards. You know, airdrop them some Novo if they meet some qualifications every month, right, for landowners. So when we have it, we have a CRM system. We have a lot of emails in it. We email them. We did posts. We did Discord, Twitter, social, everything, and so many people didn't hear about it. So many of our diehard people didn't hear about it. You know, I was just like, I just really wanted to see if the communication was there. I started DMing people in our VIP, the VIP badge, because, you know, they've been very active. Of course, the super diehards knew about it, but a lot of them didn't hear about it. They had no idea. And they're like, wow, this is amazing. I'm so excited, because they had a lot of land. So it's very, very hard in this space to really communicate any message, any release, any update with your community. It's very, very hard, because again, like, you know, we work for them. They don't work for us. They're our customer, and this isn't their priority. So like, if you have, and this again, it comes back to like setting up a Wax wallet. You know, if we're going to have to make them do work to get information, whether it's how to play the game, you know, how to create a Wax wallet, how to buy a pack, and then create a credits, and you transfer them into game access, which is a big mistake we did. Anything, announcements, we have to make them do work, we're going to lose them. So it has to be, you know, we have to think about all their digital touch points, and you really have to get to them. You know, the best thing I think we can do, if they're asking, I don't know whether they're asking you about it in Discord or Twitter, the best thing that you can do is really build up your brand activists, you know, because I'm telling you, we have about like, we have a lot of, you know, but we have about like 25 people who know the project better than I do in our Discord. So if any announcement gets made, if anything about Novo gets made, they know it inside and out. They read it, they consume it, they understand it. You know, the Medium article, whatever it is. So if somebody's in Discord and says something and I'm not around, or, you know, one of our co-founders is not around, or Frank is not around, they're there, and they're in all different time zones. And so they can answer it for us, which has been super, super helpful. But that's only if somebody's coming to Discord to get information. The challenge is the people who are not coming to Discord to get information, or coming to your website to get information, because we looked at our website analytics, and, you know, that's not where they go. They come to our website to go play the game. You know, they don't come to the website to look at the website. But yeah, so that's the thing, is like, you know, so if we have current users who aren't like in it every single day, how do we communicate to them? How do we reach out to them? And that's a daily struggle. We found some tricks I'm not going to share with you. But it is a daily struggle, and we got to continue to, and I don't think Wax can do anything about that. That's on the business owner to figure out solutions for that. I put a lot on Wax's plate to do, but I'll be honest, that's on the business owner. That has nothing to do with Wax. They can't solve that problem.
Yeah. So I think it's interesting what you said about, you know, working for, you know, the user, not making the user work for you, which I think you definitely don't want to have a user sitting there feeling like they're working for you, right? Where does this, like, you know, this sanctity or even like identification with the user come from? Was that something you got like when you were a kid, or like when you were in, you know, studying? Where's that from?
That's from working in an agency for 10 years. And always understanding, and, you know, I think I was very young in my career, and I forgot who the client was. Actually, I remember who the client was, but I'm not going to say. And I think it was my second year coding. And I was bitching to my boss that I had to write this code again. I've been up all night, for like the past 3 weeks. I got exactly what they wanted to do, and now they want us to do it this way. And he goes to me, Mike, they pay the bills. If they're gonna pay us to do it 100 times, and they're gonna pay full price to do it 100 times, we're gonna do it 100 times. Because at that flip side, if you don't have a client, there's layoffs. There's no money. There's no jobs. Because I've been at companies where there are layoffs. Luckily, I avoided layoffs, but I had a lot of good friends get laid off. So it's that mindset shift, right? They're the customers. And that was a great lesson I learned at a young age. I was about 22, 23. So ever since then, I've always, when I was in an agency, and then I worked for before Novo, like 4 years, 5 years in the corporate world in a CS services company, CS service department inside of a multi-brand company. And it's having that customer first approach, because at the end of the day, they're the ones who pay your bills, and they're the ones who support your family, and the ones who give you your lifestyle. So you really have to look at it that way. And a good amount of people have an agency, but not everybody. And then when you're actually working for in a corporation internally, very few people have that mindset. So having that mindset will set you apart. I really feel that way.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes me seem like you guys have a very strong foundation then in terms of, just like who you are as a people for your company. Because I think even that kind of mindset is really rare. Kind of going back to what I was saying earlier about the American, this American brainwashing thing that I feel was constant around me when I was growing up, which was, become rich at all costs kind of concept. And in reality, I don't find that to be sustainable at all.
Well,
You can't build anything that lasts that way.
I agree, and to, it's always a definition of what's the definition of rich to you? What's the definition of success, right? What were your dreams, and, there's only so much money you could have, right? And I believe in karma. I'm not super religious at all, but I do believe in karma. And so, good things happen to good people, bad things happen to bad people. Maybe a good thing happened to a bad person right away, but eventually it pays out. And so being good to your customers and being good and as open, honest, transparent as you can be, it's only going to help, your company in the future. Or maybe not your company. Maybe it's a different opportunity coming next because of people from you met at X, Y, and Z, and you networked, and they really, okay, this guy or girl works very hard. They're smart. You can trust them, dependable, and then that might open up other opportunities. So I believe in karma. So the money will come if the product is there. And then it's gonna last. It's gonna be last longer. And if that fades, there's gonna be a new opportunity for you. So if it's always about just making money, profit, and I can I can finesse you to spend an extra whatever 20% every single time. Yeah, I might make more money now, but like you said, it's not sustainable. 100% right. You're 100% right, my guy. You're not sustainable. So you need to it's karma. You need to just be, my eyes, you just need to be open and honest. So say Novopangea doesn't work out, and I meet some have an opportunity for another project. Maybe I end up on a team that has, a whole bunch of money to build a really amazing Web3 project. I'm sure a lot of the consumers who came from Novo would come listen, or at least explore that project because they know me as a person. And I just think, that's just, I guess, something that a belief of mine.
Yeah, I think it's really powerful, and I appreciate you sharing that with us. So in the little questionnaire that I have before the podcast starts, you talk a little bit about a learning disability that you wanted to share a story about.
Well, yeah. So, I had I still do have learning disability. I'm dyslexic, oil dyslexic, so I was always, I had a very, very, very difficult schooling up into college. My mom was a teacher. So she was very loving and caring. She always told me to, do all your homework, study, etc. She got me extra help. I had to take, I went to get special help in school too. But no matter how much I studied and how much homework I got, I could never get B's and A's. I ended up with C's. And that's because my mom was like, listen, Mike, no teacher will fail you. If you do all your homework, you go for extra help and you try, because now it's not your fault. It's the teacher's fault for not being a good teacher. So she kind of gave me that trick, right? But that's where my work ethic came from. And so I had to work about, 10 times harder than all my friends. Like I had to work way harder than all my friends just to get C's. And then that became, where I don't believe in excuses. When people have excuses, I don't like them, because there's always a solution, whether it's thinking differently, working harder, or whatever it is, there's always a solution. So excuses are my pet peeve, so I can go into that. But so that taught me at a young age, crazy work ethic. Luckily, when I got to college, well, actually in high school, I also did vocational, and I did computer technology there, and I fell in love with Flash and coding. My first thing I did, I made a Pokédex and a Pokemon game with VB6. You know what I mean? So in junior high school, so like I found something that I was very, very good at. I loved it because it was problem solving, thinking differently. It wasn't like the normal history, English, math curriculum. So I found something that I love doing that I could excel at. So I went to college, I did computer science, and that's all computers. So programming. So I was able to excel at that. I was able to do very good at that. But now I'm doing that with crazy work ethic that I learned in high school. So I was able to graduate top 10 in my major. So it was, that struggle in high school. I even won a Yes I Can award because I was the one of the teachers nominated me in high school because I was the one who never gave up. But learning that work ethic at such a young age, and knowing there's no excuses and you can always get through it, and then being able to find, something I was very passionate and actually, very good at, was an amazing feeling. I got that in college. But I carried that same discipline and skills throughout my whole career, knowing, that like there's nothing a person can't do, with enough perseverance and, hard work and grit. And, that's, why when people is like, oh, it's not, it's not, like me saying it's not enough users of wax, but you know what, the having more users will make our lives easier. But still, even I know me, you, and everybody else is fighting for the same piece of the pie. There's still enough users on Wax to have a sustainable company. And that's where we're at now. But obviously, it's a lot more work, a lot more challenging, a lot more, right now it's harder. You got to drive more people to do more things. You got to think differently. You got to definitely work more hours than we should be, but it still can be done. So that's why, I know that's why we're still here. Just because of that grit, us as founders have. And that's just never going to change. That's who I am at a core.
Excuse me. Sorry. Got like a frog in my throat there. But, that's really inspiring. I can't even imagine what having dyslexia must be like. That's where you have trouble seeing words together?
It's definitely just like, writing is definitely so like, English was always my struggle. I do have a strong accent, it's also because I hear sounds a little bit differently. So I pronounce them differently. So I might, hear certain vowels or ers, or, like, I don't know if it's orange or orange. To me, I don't know which is the correct way to say it because it sounds the same. So like, it's definitely when reading, sounding out words, was always a challenge. So like in school, if I had to read, I was so nervous. I had anxiety about it because I knew I wasn't going to pronounce it right. Especially Spanish class, I can't say my R's. So I had to make a joke out of it. And the teacher though was hysterical. So she gave me bonus points. But like, it's very challenging, but I'm honest about it. So people in Discord, they know that I can't spell good. I'll be honest with it. When I had job interviews, they go, "What's your weakness?" And I tell them that right away. It's like, thank you for the red squiggly line, even though half the time the red squiggly line has no idea a suggested word for me. When it comes to spell check, and even when I was in my previous job, I was leading a team of 12. and I was writing on the board. I didn't know how to spell some words, and I just started scribbling like a little dotted line, like, and try to play it off. And then somebody called me out on it, and I told them the truth, because again, that comes back to being honest and transparent of who you are as a person. I just told them, I'm their boss, and I told them that, and they thought it was funny, and they didn't care about it. So again, I guess it's the core values of who you are, being blended together, and and right now, since in these projects, that's what comes through these projects.
Yeah, I think we have a rare amount of people like people who have challenges early in life, who then become leaders and have ethics and these guidelines that they have to go forward. I've always felt like we're in like a leadership deficit, particularly like in your generation. We're probably pretty close to the same generation, and it seems like we have a leadership deficit, and could explain many of the problems that we're seeing these days. We have some of the oldest people in the government now in the United States than we have ever had before. And, it's probably also, lack of leadership. And, like you were saying, there's no excuses for it, right? It's like either you can take responsibility for it or, shut up is kind of the way that I see things.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's, responsibility, it's people don't take responsibility. They make excuses. And you have to take responsibility and ownership, because everybody makes mistakes. You learn from it. If you don't take responsibility, people around you know if it's your fault or not, or you're to blame or not. And if you don't take responsibility, it's just going to cause more tension, more doubt in other people, etc. And if you take responsibility, you own up to it, and you do your best you can in your power to correct it. Like, you can't obviously correct everything. People make mistakes, but at least you try your best to have good intentions to correct it. And again, that's where the karma comes in. You're not going to lose their trust. They're not going to lose their trust. They're not going to lose their belief in you as a person. Maybe say I make a mistake in something, they might realize, oh shit, that's not Creati's expertise. All right, so maybe when it comes to something, I'm not going to believe him anymore. But I know he's super strong and talented in this areas, so I'm gonna believe in him. But he's going to be honest to me what he's good at and what he's not good at. And like I told you earlier in our conversation, none of this creative stuff, World of Novo, touched a bone in my body, because I'm not a thinker in that way. I see it, I can have feedback and comments about it, because now I have something in front of me to react to, but I would never be able to give you the item to react to, because that's not my skill set. So I know. It's just being honest, knowing your limitations on it, and just not trying to lie and finesse people. Because I see some leaders do that all the time, and I won't lie. It's hard to have me as underneath you as an employee or something else, because if you are a good leader, then I'm the best person to have underneath you. If you're honest to me, and if you're honest to me, right? I would be your rock, and you will love me. And like, all my bosses freaking loved me, But I had some bosses who tried to finesse me and lie to me and all this stuff. And I had conversations with them, call them on about it, and that changed, because if I lose trust in you as my boss, it's not a good thing in my eyes, because like I said, trust is everything. But if I had bosses who had made mistakes, I had a boss who made a really bad mistake in the direction of a product, and he came up to me afterwards, because I had a different thought, and he went this way, and he was my boss. I followed him, because we're a team. And it found out that my suggestions was actually the way we should have went. He came to me afterwards. He apologized to me. He talked about it and all that stuff. And like, I lost no respect for him. If anything, I had even more respect for him, and we worked even better together moving forward. And I supported him. Other times in the future came along, he had ideas about this, and I was going this way, and then we ended up with his again, because we had a conversation and he made valid points, and then he was right and I would have been wrong. So, but if we didn't have that conversation and that trust and understanding that, hey, people make mistakes, then we wouldn't have been successful. But, and if he, lost my trust, then I would never have been able to believe him. And then I would have been a worse employee because I would have been always second guessing my boss, which I shouldn't second guess my boss because there's a reason why he has a position higher than me. So, it's dude, it's so important to be honest, and you can't finesse people. That is like, I hate when people try to finesse me. I hate it. They lose my trust, and then it's going.
Finesse meaning not being straight with you?
Not being straight with you at all. Trying to sweet talk you, snake oil salesmen, talk away out of a deal. Trying to downplay things that shouldn't be downplayed, stuff like that. I do not like at all.
Yeah, I feel like in my experience, I've mostly seen people, I don't know about downplay, but just like lack of integrity mainly, or gossip or things, just like really distracting themselves, and they should be focusing on the problem. I think I've seen more of that in my career than, probably the finessing. I'm sure that's just probably secondary to like all the other crap there that I see, but definitely it's gotten in the way. It's why I, started a company of my own. Is that related at all to why you're working for yourself right now?
No. So, I was blessed to marry a beautiful woman who came from a family of entrepreneurs. So, I came from a family of, even though my grandpa was a crazy entrepreneur, he was very successful, but the way I was raised from my mom was work your ass off. Like in school, work your ass off, 9 to 5, get, et cetera. Well, her mentality and her way she was brought up was she never thought she would work for anybody. She always thought she would be her own boss. And that actually was really attractive to me when we first started dating. And so she, was able to, start a company. It was a very good company around like beauty supplies and stuff like that. And she got as far as she could, and she didn't have like the whole marketing technology skill set. And I'm very strong at marketing technology. So, I was kind of at nighttime when I was working my last job, helping her grow that. And we grew that pretty good. So we grew that to a place where I was fortunate enough to be able to quit my last job and just focus on that with her and continue to help it grow. And then that's when I realized I'm never working for anybody else again if I can avoid it. Because with my work ethic, I unfortunately put work before my family, before anything else. That's just how I, like I told you, I learned that work ethic at a young age, but that's kind of the curse part about it. Right. I don't have but to me, work is fun. So anyways, I realized I was working so much for so many other people, and I'm not seeing the profits. I'm not seeing the money. So whether I work 40 hours at 110% or 60 hours at 110% or 40 hours at 20%, I'm getting the same paycheck. You know what I mean? So that's what I was like, no, I gotta stop. I gotta go on my own. I gotta try it, start my own, do what I can. And that's why I'm working for myself, because it's just not fair to do all that work and you don't get the rewards.
Yeah, I understand. It also sounds then you're probably underutilized as well. If you're in a company that
I was actually overutilized because I was always the guy to put out fires, the fireman. So like because I've always worked kind of on project basis, and so like I can get shit done, like I told you earlier. So anytime project was close to the end and it was gonna miss a timeline or whatever, I could figure out how to assess where we are, put up a proposal to what we can do by launch, or what we need, how much more time we need, and then see it out. And when you work in an agency or you work for shared services that has so many projects, there's always a project on fire. So you're gonna be going from project to project to project to project to project, and that's why my bosses always loved me, because they know, oh shit, I'm fucked because leadership's yelling at them. Well, I have Creati to take care of it for me. And that's what happened, a lot throughout my career. So I don't think I was underutilized. I think I was just I don't say underappreciated, because I always won awards, but it was just all that thing, and I wasn't making the money I think I should have been making.
Right, right. So you should have been given a raise then, is what I hear for
Yeah,
the
yeah,
amount of work that you were doing.
I've gotten raises. Trust me, they
But
gave me
a big
raises,
raise. I mean, a
but there's
raise
only so much they
commensurate
can give
with
you.
your
Yeah,
contribution.
yeah. There's only that's where entrepreneur comes in. Like, you want commas. I want another comma raise for over the. If I'm giving you like honestly like probably 50, 60 hours of my physical time, but you're probably getting like 80, 90 hours of my mental time. Like I said, driving in the shower, I could be doing something else. My wife was always saying, I came home from work and I was until like after dinner, I'm still just thinking about work, problem solving, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not there for my family mentally too, even though I'm physically there. So, and that's a fault of mine. It's not my job's fault. It's a fault of mine. So if I'm doing all that thought and energy, I should be able to have commas to be able to support my family, and because they have to deal with me thinking like that.
Yeah, and money right now in the Web3 spaces seems a little challenging in certain ways. I mean, obviously, there's always opportunities somewhere, right? But the way I kind of look at it is that, it comes in waves, that basically, creating more users, getting more attention, getting more bang for your buck when it comes to marketing, or getting more bang for your energy, sort of comes in waves. It's not necessarily like a straight line. It's more like you're out in the ocean and then you're waiting for the wave to come in. You see the wave come in and then you catch it and then you ride it. And then, especially in these early technologies and adoption, it seems it kind of moves in this direction. Is that the way you guys, I mean, do you see it that way?
Yeah, I think right now it's a struggle. There's not enough cash for companies right now. None of our founders have made a penny yet. We haven't took a dollar yet for Novopangea, and that is true transparency. It sucks. For all the time and energy. Like I told you, I'm fortunate enough to be able to focus on this because of what I built with my wife's company. But it's been like 2 years, 40 hours, more than 40 hours. If you talk about the mind power, a week on it, it's not fair to my family, right? It's not fair to me or a family, for not, being rewarded. But it's a commitment I made, and it was, kind of my dream, part of my dream to do this. So like, I can only get, upset with myself, nobody else, because it was all my choices. But yeah, it's very frustrating, and that's why Wax will lose good people and good projects if they don't help solve this for us, whether it's make our lives easier by providing us more services, giving us some type of goals to help us make our projects better, like giving us free wax, giving us grants, helping us get way more users
some
so we can
chains
make more
do
money.
that.
Yeah, some chain. Trust me, I had I told you one of my advisors, he has arguably the biggest Web3 project out there, and so like when we were talking about I was talking to him about it. He's like, he gave me some advice, and then I was like, it's too late. I'm not gonna say what he said to me, but I was like, it's too late. We have to continue this. Obviously, he's probably right, but we already committed to something. And but then like he was like, okay, talk to these people. He got us in charge of the CEO of that blockchain, like in a sec. He sent an email, said hi, and the CEO responded, okay, whatever they need, I got you. And it wasn't for his main company, it was for us. And like he gave us his business services team, whatever we wanted to get going. But we couldn't pivot over there because we were too far down this path. And they were going to give us money and all this other stuff, but we already committed to the community and stuff to stay on Wax. So we did. But that's why we got to open up to more chains, because there is money out there from other chains that understand the value of good projects and good teams, project ran teams to help them be successful. So Wax needs to figure that out. Or they're going to lose some great projects. Hopefully they don't kill me for saying that, but they need to figure it out. I still love Wax.
Yeah, Yeah, well, just talking to you, it's actually really a relief to talk to you because you are very straight when you talk, and I'm sure that cuts through a lot of BS, right? Where you can just really approach people with what your set of problems are, what your proposed solutions or avenues conversation is, and I think a lot of spaces, particularly like let's just say that perhaps Wax is not, doing everything that it seems obvious to some of us. That there are certain things that they could change operationally to grow adoption of the blockchain and support the entrepreneurs that grow the blockchain. And you can just kind of cut through all the BS and just get right to it. I think. I don't really have quite the vision of you have of like the product development of all the things they could possibly do. But I love that you're here and that you're a straight shooter and you're incentivized to succeed. And like you said, like you take responsibility for your goals and what you want to achieve. Being someone who was struggling with dyslexia as a child to being like one of the top of your class.
Yeah, and maybe too much of a straight shooter. My wife doesn't like it all the time. I should sugarcoat things to her more. So I do need to work on that. And sometimes even when I'm a straight shooter to like, some of my internal team members, they might not look at it as a positive thing, but to me, just being over like the product guy over so many projects, you can't have room for ambiguity. You have to be straightforward, and at the end of the day, people appreciate it because of the final result. So it just sometimes you just have to get used to people's their mannerisms, and that's really it. And I also have like some good mentors, and like the advisor I'm talking about, it's crazy because he was actually, I knew him since the second, third grade, and I'm at school. Then he moved and went back to high school together, and he became super successful with his first startup. Like, trust me, you see it every single day. And when I asked him, I haven't talked to him in like 2 decades. I haven't talked to him since he started his startup, and I reached out to him. I was like, hey, I'm starting this Web3 thing. Would you like to jump on as advisor? Of course, he said yes, just because I'm a childhood friend. It's not because he has a time for anything else. But I remember, my first conversation with him, he was so direct with his questions because we only had a half an hour a month with him, right? But he was so direct with his questions, and he was so targeted of what the information he needed to give us advice was from his questions that I learned that from him. I saw that mannerism, that from him, and I was like, I'm doing that from now on because I don't have time. He even says to me, I talked to him yesterday. He goes, time is not your friend, Mike. So like and he's true. Time's not your friend. So don't waste the time. So get the information you need because we're both professionals. Get information you need. And we want to work together. Get information you need, and then do action. Make action with it. So that's one thing I think is very important for any business relationship to move forward is clear, no ambiguity. And don't waste time dilly-dallying and beating around the bush.
Yeah, I totally identify with that. It's a challenge, living in this world where, there are people who just they do what they do what the 95% do. And then there are other people, I should say, maybe like us, you let me know, who want to like optimize, right? Mm-hmm. Like we want to get into this optimization phase where, by the end of my life, I feel like I spent it well and that I did my best to accomplish my goals and to provide value that's beyond myself. And I kind of actually started this journey a little late. Unlike you, I was mostly a very lazy kid. I mean, I had some great things about me. I was very creative, but I was otherwise mostly, I would say for someone who was very low income, I was probably spoiled. I was fairly low income as a kid. But I was like, I don't need a ton of things. I mean, as long as I can eat and like I got a book and, I can play a video game. I was very fortunate to have a computer like at a young age, but otherwise I was mostly kind of lazy, playing a lot of video games, reading a lot of books. And, I wasn't challenged quite in the way that you were. So now in the later part of my life, I really value these things. I really value, the hard work. I value the person who is working hard to provide value and not just like distract themselves all day and basically just be slothful, some people might call it, or just this big time waster. I'm kind of discovering this later in life, so it's inspiring to talk to someone like you who has already fought these battles and sounds like you're still learning how to optimize.
Yeah, 100%. You can still learn. You can learn so much from so many other people. Even people that you might not think you can learn from, you actually can learn from them. Like you can learn, you can learn stuff that you want to make sure you don't do. You can make sure, like, how to be a better father to your kids. You can learn from, like I don't want to have that relationship with my son. I want a different relationship like that. So you learn, what doesn't work through other people too. So there's, always something you can learn from someone, whether, it's something that you want to copy or something that you don't want to do. But there's always a learning opportunity from somebody. And so you just got to look at, each learning opportunity as a positive and take it from there.
Thank you. Yeah. So before we wrap it up, why don't you let us know what is the what's next for Novopangea? You said you guys are going to do this token release that is happening the day we're planning to release this podcast. And then there's also a PFP project. Why don't you tell us about what is what should people be excited about next for Novopangea? Where should they be?
So to be honest, our diehards are excited about some of the quality of life updates we're making right after token launch for some of the bulk action stuff. And then the PFP, the story, people love the story. Should look at the PFP because we're actually going to be talking about how to make it part of the game as well through leaderboards and stuff like that. Because everybody loves a leaderboard and stuff like that. But the big feature that everybody's asking about in our game is the PvP. So we can actually now have the realms fight each other, characters fight each other, maybe do some district wars, a lot of fun stuff like that. So that is kind of the short-term, long-term thing to get, the bigger ticket items within the next 6 months, I would say, that we're focusing on. But for me, what excites me more is you're gonna get more of this lore and story of Novopangea. You're really gonna have more visuals and even words to let you understand the world of Novo. That's where I think the power is. I think that's where the future of this brand is. And we just need to make sure everybody on the chain or off the chain gets to have the opportunity to fall in love with Novopangea. And that's really going to be, a pivotal strategy and emphasis we're going to be focusing on for this year, as well as the key enhancements that our community is asking for from the game.
Nice. And where should they go to get in touch with you? What's the website? Why don't you give us a rundown of the socials and where they should go?
So definitely, Novopangea.io is our website. I'm on Discord. We have it all. We have Telegram, Discord, etc. But Discord is by far our most active channel. So if you have any questions about the project, the game, tokenomics, anything, just go to Discord. Like I say, a great community. They always help, and I check multiple times a day. So if somebody doesn't answer you, I'll eventually get to you. I'm very active there. On Twitter too, I'm active. It's Yo Creati, my last name, and put the word Yo in front of it. And you can just tweet me whenever you want. So yeah, those are the best places to find us, but definitely check out our website, novopangea.io, learn about the game and, and jump in our Discord. And if you are interested in it, ask questions. We can help you get started. We have plenty of YouTube videos to get, to get started, different strategies of playing the game that we have created and also our community has created. So we're happy to share with you and educate everybody on it.
Nice. Well, I'm looking forward to the continued success of Novopangea, the coming TV show and movies, and it'll be great. And I acknowledge you, for being someone who's, fought through, challenges with your dyslexia and, the path of growth, it sounds like you've had a lot of growth and you've taken responsibility for your path. And I feel like that's a really rare trait. It's a really rare thing to come across someone who's willing to take responsibility for their challenges as well as their life. And I find that really inspiring. So thank you.
Well, thank you for your time, man. I really appreciate it. And, it's great meeting you. So hope we definitely stay in touch. I think we will. So again, thank you so much.